The first light of dawn pierced through the cracks in the rough-hewn walls, painting streaks of gold across Kale's face. He lay still, eyes closed, but his mind was already a whirlwind of thoughts. Today was a new day, another day to fight, another day to live with the burden of his heritage. Kale was no ordinary soldier. He was a hybrid, a being born of two worlds. His mother had been human, her laughter and warmth a distant memory. His father, a legend whispered in hushed tones, was an Anunnaki, one of the ancient beings who once ruled Earth. He could feel the Anunnaki blood surging through his veins, a potent cocktail of power and ancient magic. It gave him strength beyond measure, senses that bordered on the supernatural, and a lifespan that stretched far beyond that of any ordinary human. But it was also a curse, a mark that set him apart. He rose, his movements fluid and powerful, and walked towards the single cracked window that overlooked the desolate landscape. The wind whipped at his face, carrying with it the scent of dust and something ancient, a primal echo of his father's people. He was their legacy, their champion, but at what cost? Kale ran a hand through his thick, dark hair, the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He was the leader of the resistance, a ragtag group of humans and hybrids fighting for survival against the tyrannical rule of the krill monstrous beings intent on wiping out his kind and enslaving humanity. He hated them, not just for what they had done, but for what they forced him to become. He never asked for this power, this destiny. He was just a boy when the krill attacked his village, slaughtering everyone he knew and loved. He had discovered his true potential that day, the Anunnaki blood awakening within him with terrifying force. He had fought back, driven by rage and grief. But it wasn't enough. He was just one, and they were legion. He had escaped, barely clinging to life. Commander Voss, a grizzled veteran of countless battles, had found him. Voss saw his potential, the raw power simmering beneath the surface. He took Kale under his wing, trained him, honed him into a weapon. The training yard was a symphony of steel and sweat. Kale moved with the grace of a panther, his blade a blur as he parried each of Commander Voss's attacks. The old soldier was a master swordsman, his movements honed by decades of experience. But Kale was faster, stronger, fueled by the power that coursed through his veins. Steel met steel, sparks showering the dusty ground. Voss grunted, his face a mask of concentration. "You rely too much on your strength, boy," he rasped, his voice hoarse from years of shouting orders. "Power without control is useless," Kale snarled, pressing his attack. He rained blow after blow on Voss, each one heavy with the promise of violence. But Voss met each attack with unwavering resolve, his blade a flickering shield. "You let your anger control you," Voss said, parrying a vicious strike. "It will be your undoing." Kale roared, his Anunnaki blood singing in his ears. He lunged, his blade aimed at Voss's heart. But Voss was ready. He sidestepped, his own blade flashing out. Kale gasped as a searing pain shot through his arm. He stumbled back, clutching the shallow wound. "Control," Voss said, his voice low and dangerous. "Without it, you are nothing but a beast." The archives were musty and dimly lit, the air thick with the smell of old paper and decay. Kyle ran his fingers along the spines of ancient tomes, their leather covers brittle with age. He was searching for anything that could give him an edge against the krill, any scrap of knowledge that could help him turn the tide of the war. He stopped before a shelf tucked away in a shadowed corner. It was different from the others, its wood dark and ornately carved. He ran his hand over the intricate designs, his fingers tracing the outlines of strange symbols. They seemed to hum with power, resonating with something deep within him. He pulled out the book, its pages stiff and yellowed with time. The language was ancient Anunnaki, but Kale found he could understand it as if it were his native tongue. It spoke of his father's people, their history, their culture, their power. He devoured the words, his mind racing. He learned of the Anunnaki's mastery of energy, their ability to harness the very life force of the planet. And then he found it, a passage that spoke of ancient pyramids, structures that served as conduits for their power.